Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Now, it's time to take a small and slightly scary journey through my brain. Now, you may remember from a few past videos, if you have actually watched a few of my previous videos, some of you haven't, there's only 17 of you, so I wouldn't let that bother you. Basically, somehow I managed to get an entry to the Three Peaks Cyclocross, one of the most brutal and historic cyclocross races in the world. Now, this isn't just doing small little laps of some local country park, rounding round with ribbons and steps and carrying for a little bit for roughly an hour. No, this is going to be a much longer ordeal. It's a roughly 60-kilometer ride up three of the biggest peaks in Yorkshire. Yorkshire, a place famed for being very, very not flat. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, I am what's classed as a bracketeer. What's a bracketeer, I hear nobody ask. Well, it is not a pirate, okay? And let's just get this out of the way. I don't frequent the Caribbean. I don't go rampaging and pillaging and stealing boats. I don't drink port and, yeah, not one of those. What a bracketeer is somebody who looks in at an event, especially ones with cutoffs like triathlons and especially Ironmans, and then tries to work out using those time cutoffs and the routes involved, whether it's got hills and stuff, and then works back from there and figures out whether they could physically get through in those cutoffs. So join me, won't you, in going through the very, very simple and very, very messed up way that my brain works, working out the mathematics of this with a bracketeer mentality. So this is the route. It's a very simple route that starts off at I. That doesn't make any sense. So down at the bottom of the map we have dot I, which has a little checkered flag next to it. That is also the start. Now on this route there are 3 big climbs, hence the 3 peaks. There are 3 off-road descents and there are 3 road sections. Now, to get to cutoff 1, which is at the end of section C in blue, where that blue line is just below D, I have to travel 27 kilometers in under 150 minutes. Now, 5 kilometers of that right at the very start is neutralized, where we're riding behind a safety car, effectively, or a pace car, whatever you want to call it. It then goes off and I have to do a 7-kilometer climb. Now, for most people, that would be just like, yeah, you got to do 7-kilometer climb. It's not. It's very, very difficult. Most of that is walking. So I need to figure out if I can do this. So my brain starts to back time. How does back timing work? Well, very, very simple. You take the things that you know. So I know there's a neutralized section at the start. So I'm going to, let's say I average 25 kilometers an hour for that one. That'll take roughly 12 minutes. I know there's a 5-kilometer descent off-road, and let's say I average 15 kilometers for that. Sorry, 15 kilometers an hour for that. It will take roughly 20 minutes. I also know there's a road section, and let's say, again, road section, I know it's slightly uphill there is quite a reasonable hill at the start of that. Let's call that 22 kilometers an hour average. That should take around 27 minutes. Add those together, 12, 20, and 27, and then take it away from 150 minutes. I've got 61 minutes to do that section A climb, which is basically walking across a field with the bike on my shoulder. Now, 7 kilometers in 61 minutes. That doesn't sound too bad. No, it doesn't sound too bad if you're riding, but I'm walking. 7 kilometers in 61 is 8 minutes and 40, which is actually pretty close to my ultramarathon running pace, except I'm not going to be running. So this is potentially a bit of a problem. And this is the first cutoff. So this first section, which is almost half a ride, is going to be a big deal. If I can get through this, I'm on to the next section. So, okay, for cutoff 2, where we're going between the section D, and then we have a descent through E, up to, and then a road section to F, which is at the bottom, sorry, comes to the base of the third climb. Now, so, okay, let's go back through the maths on this one, and you'll see a common logic to this. So I have 120 minutes this time to do roughly 20 kilometers. We know there is a 6.5 kilometer descent, and it looks a little bit easier. So I'm going to say that I can average 18 kilometers an hour, which will take roughly 22-ish minutes. Then I've got a 9 kilometer road section, which should take roughly 25 minutes at 22 kilometers an hour. I'm hoping to do a little bit quicker than that. But that leaves me with 73 minutes to do the 4.5 kilometer climb. Now, this climb is every bit as difficult as the last one, if not a little bit harder, because it's rock steps rather than trudging up a field. Now, I do get, if with 73 minutes and 4.5 kilometers, that takes 16 minutes and 15 seconds per kilometer. Christ, that's going to be one hell of a walk. Anyway, sorry, getting distracted here. Yeah, 16 minutes and 15 seconds per kilometer, 73 minutes would get me up that hill and back down through a descent and to the cutoff in Horton and Ribblesdale. That seems doable, seeing how I can go at half the walking pace that I was previously. I'm a little bit more comfortable, plus there's a lot of road section there. So that puts us on to the final cutoff. The final cutoff, again, using exactly the same logic, I have 120 minutes to do this bit. And this is literally going from the base of Pinnegant, which is that blue line, up to the red line, and then down, back past the blue line, and then down to I. So 120 minutes to do roughly 14 kilometers. We know that 5.5 of that is descent, and it looks a pretty tricky descent, so I'm going to say average of 15 kilometers an hour, which will take 22 minutes. 3 kilometer road section, provided there's nothing wrong with the bike and provided I still have lungs in my chest. I'm going to try and average 22k through that, which would be roughly 9 minutes. But again, add that 9 minutes and the 22 minutes together and take it off 120. That leaves me 89 minutes to do the 5.5 kilometer climb up Pinnegant. That would be, again, around a 16-minute, 12 kilometer pace, which is slower than my normal walking the dog pace. So again, I'm reasonably comfortable with that. But so, using this entirely ludicrous mathematical basis, is this doable? Well, yes, but provided I'm not provided I get no punctures, provided I don't have a chain snap, provided I don't have a wheel buckle, provided that I don't get, I don't know, hit by another competitor or chased by cows and dogs or set upon by angry villagers with pitchforks. You know, the usual stuff. It is possible. It's obviously possible because other people have done this for years and years since the 1960s. So it is possible. Is it possible for me? Time will tell. And we'll find out when I actually do it. Anyway, this has been a very dark and slightly meandering view of how my brain works when it comes to events and how I work out the mathematics. So I apologize for this nearly 12-minute ramble, and I will see you some point in the future for a slightly more, I don't know, normal video. See you soon.